United States out in the quarterfinals. They suffered a 2-0 defeat to Uruguay, a goal in each half. The second one was a blooper own goal by Joshua Winder. A successful tournament overall. The U.S. won their first 4 games without conceding. They played some pretty good soccer, showcased several players. But if you're somebody who wants to see the U.S. win one of these tournaments, they can't get over that quarterfinal hump. 4th straight under-20 World Cup, they go out in the quarters.
And the previous best finish was back in 1989, I think, or something like that. You know, the likes of Casey Keller and Mike Burns and Neil Cavone. There's a shout-out for some older names. So, yeah, it's been decades now of futility when it comes to the men's side and the under-20 World Cup. And this was going along swimmingly. Undefeated, no goals scored against, scoring goals, looking good, and you come up against an Uruguay who wasn't, I don't think, if you look at it player to player or team to team, a great team, but they took their chances. The defense for this U.S. team broke down in individual mistakes. But, you know, they had plenty of the ball, and I think if you watched from the beginning, you saw that what they were trying to do, and oftentimes were successful in doing it up to a point of not putting it in the back of the net, that there was plenty to be excited about and to praise. But ultimately, this is still about winning. And I don't know if you saw that our good friend Stu Holden took a shot from the folks over there at Soccer America, Mike Waitella, I think, because of the way that Stu had framed an incident and had said that he had extolled the virtues of a player taking somebody down, you know, the dark arts sort of stuff. And I think Soccer America's point was that young players take their cue often from entertainment and from broadcasting, and so he was doing a disservice to the youth. I only say that because I think there is an element, and it's completely fair and justified, that doesn't ultimately care how we win. When I say we, I mean the U.S. They just want to win. And if it's ugly, it's ugly. If it's beautiful, it's beautiful. And, you know, this was a game where Uruguay did what they needed to do to win the game. And ultimately, this is about winning. Even at a young age, it still should be about winning. At all costs? No. But with a recognition that the things you do now, if you do matriculate up, are going to be important going forward.
I don't think anybody's taking their cue from Stu Holden. So Soccer America doesn't need to worry about that. But I will say, keep an eye on Uruguay. They just hired our good friend Marcelo Bielsa as their head coach. Yep. He obviously has a lot of established talent to work with, guys like Darwin Nunez, Federico Valverde, Ronald Araujo, etc. And they also have a lot of good young players coming up. In Bielsa's first squad, he included several players from this under-20 team. The U.S. obviously hosting the Copa America next year. Uruguay is a team they could potentially face. If the U.S. was to hire Jesse Marsh, then we'd have a battle of former Leeds coaches. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh, no, jeez. It always leads back to Leeds, right? Yep. Who comes out of this looking good? Selena, I thought, was good in goal, for the most part, and that's nothing he could necessarily do. Kate Cowell, right? Some goals. Who else? Anybody else?
Diego Luna. McGlynn.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think there are some players that are going to matriculate up to the senior team, as you say.
And it's always this balance, like I said, of this is to develop players, but it is you're also developing their competitive sense, and ultimately they're going to be judged on tournaments. They're going to be judged, hopefully, if they all go forward, on a World Cup. And in that moment, for example, the first goal, if you dive in that moment, that is a problem, even if you're playing well. And little moments like that are important. So I think this group deserves praise within reason, but also a recognition of it is small things. It is little details against other teams.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.